War of the Spark is such a massive, sprawling set full of flavor and story to the point where it doesn't just have one finale, it has 5. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Today, we are going to be talking about the 5 finale cards from War of the Spark. For some reason, I was about to say Oath of the Gatewatch. I don't even know what's going on. I got Gatewatch on the brain. It's never going away. It's terminal. I got terminal Gatewatchitis. So, let us talk about these finales. I'm going to let you know what they kind of feel like in terms of old school cards to me. Some of them really evoke cards, and some of them I look at them and go, I don't think that much about it. The first one is Finale of Glory. Now, these all follow the same kind of pattern where if you pay a horrendous amount of mana, and by horrendous, I mean 10 or more in the X, then you get a huge effect. Otherwise, you get a reasonable effect. So, Finale of Glory is 2 white and X. Create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. And the flavor text says, the sky boiled over the citadel, dire and dark, and then angels brought the dawn. Not too shabby. I mean, you can think of a moment where things look all dire and all of a sudden massive amounts of angels come swooping in. Here we go, let's do this. So, Finale of Glory, obviously, if you're old school like me, the first thing you think of when you think of soldier tokens and angel tokens is actually Decree of Justice. That's the oldest kind of card that I can think of that would tie into this, and that's that interesting cycling one where you can either play it to get angels or soldiers, not both, but it has the same kind of feel, where if you want the angels, it's going to cost you more mana, because the casting cost on Decree of Justice is no joke. It's not Decree of Jokestis, all right? We're not playing those games. So, Decree of Justice is one of the cards. If you want to get a little more recent, White Sun Zenith is similar. It makes X 2/2s, but they're like cat tokens. So it's not the same kind of tokens, but roughly similar. I enjoy the whole massive, ridiculous concept of just paying absurd amounts of mana and going buck nutty. And when we get to the green one, which is the last one, that for me is the most delightful of everything we're going to look at. Oh God. But anyways, Finale of Glory is funny if you think about playing with Divine Visitation. You know that enchantment from Ravnica? Not old Ravnica, obviously this block here, Guilds of Ravnica. It's the one that replaces tokens you would normally get with 4/4 angels. So even just what you would originally get as 2/2 white soldier tokens, instead, never mind, you're going to go ahead and get Divine Visitation angel tokens instead. Now, it is interesting to note that they chose soldier creatures instead of knights. I imagine this might have something to do with History of Benalia. Maybe it would be too gross if you could play all that together, or maybe they just picked soldiers because that's what felt right thematically. But either way, it's an interesting card, and obviously if you have at least 12 mana to cast it, then it gets really silly. I don't know how often these spells are really going to go off in, let's say, standard with crazy amounts of mana, but you could easily see it happening in Commander or in really long-running limited games. Like you're playing in like a draft or a pre-release, and things are kind of slow rolling. You'll find yourself landlocked, not able to really punch through, and then all of a sudden, one of these finale spells will be like, we're done here, son! So let's move on to the second finale, and that's Finale of Revelation. 2 blue and X. Did I talk about the artwork on Finale of Glory? I don't think I did, but that's probably because for me, the artwork's all right. It's just a bunch of soldiers cheering as some angels fly by overhead. I don't know if it's like the muted tones. It gives it kind of like a, I don't know, like they're in a Batman movie kind of feel with that dark greediness, but because of how muted it is, I don't really enjoy it, which is probably why I skipped over talking about the artwork to begin with. I just noticed it when I got to the Finale of Revelation, and I'm looking at the artwork and going, yes, I mean, this is nice artwork. And then it's like, wait, hold on, we missed something. So, 2 blue X, draw X cards. If X is 10 or more, instead, shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. And then you exile Finale of Revelation. Now, does the Glory one exile itself as well? Did I miss that? No. Okay, so it's just the blue one exiling itself because of its gross nature, I guess. Ugin saw the gem that connected Bolus to his meditation realm as the key to his brother's downfall. apparently from something of the spoilers that I've heard, this is how Ugin actually spies on Bolus, is with that gem that's suspended like between his horns there. This artwork is really interesting. You have, I guess this must be Bolus's meditation realm, perhaps? You can see the Bolus horns off in the background, but the stone that would normally be behind them is just massive and swelling up, and it's kind of centered in between the peaks. This is some pretty interesting artwork. Ugin looks amazing there, just aloft in this like dark sky and this really crazy looking sort of plane with this weird purple like line running across it. I don't know what the purple's supposed to be, but either way, the artwork's really evocative. It makes me want to know 100% what's going on here. Now, in terms of cards that this makes me think of the old school Brain Geyser spell from way back in the day where it would let people pay 2 blue and X and draw, or, you know, you want something a little more recent, maybe Mind Spring. And the untapping up to 5 lands makes me think of the free spells like Time Spiral from Urza's Saga, where you cast the spell and you get to untap some lands. Now, granted, this is only half free. They've got free spells where you untap all the lands used to cast it. This only lets you untap like roughly half. This is like a half off. It's a half off deal. It's half free. There you go. Buy one, get one. So you've got the, no, I guess it would be buy 2, get 1 in the scenario for that to work. So overall, pretty powerful card, truthfully. I really like this one, and the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Let's move on to the third finale. This one is Finale of Eternity. 2 black and X, destroy up to 3 target creatures with toughness X or less. If X is 10 or more, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the flavor text says, when you rule by fear, your greatest weakness is one who's no longer afraid. Flavor text doesn't really do much for me, but obviously we see the artwork. We have Liliana defying Bolus right here, casting her defiance in his teeth, as it were, as he has kind of a grinchy look on his face, like he wanted to steal Christmas, but Liliana's like, you give them presents to the kids, I ain't having it. So in terms of what this card does, it's like this one's weird, honestly. There's nothing really obvious that connects it to me. I think of the spell Hex. Now, admittedly, Hex is worse. I mean, it's 6 mana. I believe it's 6 mana, and you have to have enough targets. You have to be able to destroy all 6 creatures. So this one is up to 3 creatures. So this can be used to take out 1 creature, 2, 3 creatures. It just makes me think of Hex because I think of, to really get the bigger creatures, you're going to need to spend more mana. So, I mean, I understand that the connection to Hex is very weak in this case, but that's what I think of. And the returning all creatures from the graveyard makes me think of like a one-sided Rise of the Dark Realms, where Rise of the Dark Realms puts all creatures cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. This one only brings back yours, so it's like a half deal, but still, that's the vibe that it gives me. It gives me like a half Hex, half Rise of the Dark Realms, and that actually works because half a Hex would be 3 creatures. So that all ties together, and the artwork is colorful, but honestly, it just doesn't do that much for me. Next up, we've got Finale of Promise, 2 red and X. You may cast up to 1 target instant card and or 1 target sorcery card from your graveyard, each with converted mana cost X or less, without paying their mana costs. If a card cast this way will be put in your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. And if X is 10 or more, copy each of those spells twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. I imagine that actually in practice, when you play with this card, it'll feel a lot more impressive, but I have to say, out of all of the finales, this is the one where the X effect, when you actually have 10 mana, feels the weakest, but that changes if you're going into something like Commander, where you have a different build and have massive expensive spells and get to copy those multiple times, because I picture this most of the time never getting to the full-on X. This is the one that I see getting to completion like the least frequent. That's how it feels to me. And in all honesty, it doesn't make me think of a lot of cards. It only really makes me think of Past in Flames, and Past in Flames just gives flashback to instants and sorcerers in your graveyard and doesn't let you cast them for free, so even that's a tenuous connection. So for me, Finale of Promise kind of stands out without too much connected to it in terms of old cards that it makes me think of. That doesn't mean they don't exist. This is just how I felt when I first looked at the card and I pulled it apart, because that's what your brain does, right? Your brain will take known information for you and go, okay, like it's like you build your learning as you go. So you'll see a card and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's a version of this. This is just another variation of this. And so for me, there's not a lot. Finale of Promise feels like it's almost in its own category without anything really too similar to it, which makes it interesting. But again, the X10 thing is kind of like, don't know. I mean, you get that much red mana. Usually you're just going to be like, Fireball! Do them Street Fighter style. You know what I'm saying? So let's move on to the most exciting finale. The finale of the finales. And interesting enough, this one's called Finale of Devastation. And when I think of Devastation, it actually makes me think of red spells. Because it's normally used in red names destroying lands and things like that. Like, just like a decree of devastation or something like that, like decree of annihilation. I don't know exactly what it is, but Devastation doesn't really feel like a green title name, but at the same time, considering what it does, I can understand why it's called Finale of Devastation, and I cannot wait to get this both into my King Cube and, actually no, never mind, I can't put it in the King Cube. I was getting excited about the X part, but I forgot King Cube doesn't use search effects. So unfortunately, Finale of Devastation will only be making it into my big green tower deck. So I'll be getting these on Arena for sure. 2 green and X. Search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. Now, this is nothing new. We've seen this ability before. But really, the X on this one is what gets me super, super excited because it's just dumb. And I love big, dumb, green creature smashing. So, the X part. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X/+X and gain haste until end of turn. So you can give all you guys +10/+10 and haste. And on top of that, it gives haste to whatever you searched out of your deck. It's just, to me, so much fun. I can't wait to play this. And you got the artwork there where you've got just a gigantic dinosaur rampaging. Just, how are you going to stop me? How are you going to stop me? And let's walk back to Finale of Promise, because I was in such a rush to get to Finale of Devastation that I didn't address the artwork for Finale of Promise, where you can see the dragon epically soaring up above the city of Ravnica. It looks like a bunch of like lightning is coalescing around in a massive aura, and it just looks like it's gonna go blasting out and level the city. So I don't know, it's weird. This feels almost like this should be Finale of Devastation, truthfully, because this looks like it's going to be more devastating than the dinosaur in Finale of Devastation. But for Finale of Devastation, the cards that it mainly makes me think of are Green Sun Zenith, because Green Sun Zenith is basically the same thing. Search your library for a creature with X or worth X, put them straight into play, shuffle your deck up. And then the boost ability of Craterhoof Behemoth, because that guy gets massive power boosts. He basically, when he enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So you usually have a bunch of creatures out. It feels really good to give all your guys a huge boost. Hell, even End Raise Forerunners, or whatever they call those crazy 7/7 boars that I use in my deck, that give +2/+2 and vigilance and haste to all your guys. Or it does, I don't know about the haste part, but it definitely gives +2/+2 and vigilance. Either way, even that feels good. So when you get to give a massive, massive boost, it feels way better. So for me, this is the finale I am most excited about. Let me know which finale is most exciting to you guys. We're gonna roll the golden scroll. These are the people backing my channel on Patreon or through channel memberships. Thank you very much for supporting me and what I do. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I'm history, baby.